Hi, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. In a previous episode, I went in depth on the Casio G-Shock AWGM100 watch, all the functions and features. This time, I want to talk specifically about the varieties that are available. So this is my collection as it stands today, and I wanted to explain how I decided to go for some of these different color combinations. So I knew that some of these were more readily available in the United States, others a little more difficult to find in the US, and some I had to send away to foreign countries to actually get those. So how would I decide which one to get first so that, I could decide if I really wanted to try out the other color combinations? And what I found in the US-based market was that these two were the easiest ones to find, and if you're talking about cost and availability, seemed like I had to go with these two to start out with. But as I looked around at the different illustrations showing me the different variations that were available, I thought that these two kind of seemed like the least attractive looking of all of them, so I kind of held out. Eventually I found this one and decided this is the one I wanted to start out with. It was a pretty good looking watch, I thought, and I thought if I really like it, I'll start exploring the other colors. If not, I'll just stop here. Now, as you look at the different illustrations on the official Casio website and the illustrations used by, on Amazon and some of these other places online, it's kind of strange. They all look like basically the same watch. You're not sure if it's an illustration created by Photoshop or if these are actual photographs, because as you look at it, look at this. It's exactly the same position relative to the camera on each of these illustrations. So the watch is just sitting there like that. And look, it even has, it's showing the exact same time, date. All of those things are exactly the same to the point where you wonder, did someone just color these differently in the computer, or are these actual photographs? And that got me to thinking, does the watch maybe look a little bit different in real life than it looks in these illustrations from the official Casio product illustrations? So is it possible, maybe, that this watch here in person looked a little bit nicer than I thought it looked in the marketing illustration? But I still held out. I still decided I wasn't going to try this one just right off. You see, now look at this. It's got that red hour hand, and I think most people decided that if it didn't have a red hour hand, it could probably be better looking. Like maybe it just had a white hour hand, just like the minute hand. That color combination, I think a lot of people were speculating that that would be more attractive than why the red hour hand. And what I discovered was that one of the first Casio G-Shock watches that was analog, that was ever produced, way back decades ago, had a red hour hand. So this is kind of a throwback to that original idea of how they wanted to, put out the analog watches in the G-Shock line. But it still didn't seem to be as attractive from the illustration. So I held off on getting this one. Eventually I bought this one online, and then it showed up at Sam's Club. This one was about $75 at Sam's Club. This one here was $99 at Sam's Club. And so, I don't know, they weren't officially listed as being available in the US through the regular channels, but every now and then they do release things through the warehouse clubs like Sam's Club and Costco, things that might otherwise only be available, say, in the Japanese or European market. So, these are okay. I generally do not prefer the reverse LCD just because at a glance, it's a little bit more difficult to see what's in those readouts compared to what you would see in the regular LCD. But these were a relatively good bargain. This one just distinguishes itself by these gold accents. And actually, if you look closer, you'll notice that the buckle on the watch band is also kind of a gold-plated chrome look. And so are these buttons on the watch. All the other ones I'm showing you have more of a silver-looking chrome look on the buckle and those buttons. But this one distinguishes itself with that gold. Okay, next I went for these two, and I didn't really find a good bargain on these. This one over here is generally available over kind of in the European market or the UK, a little more common over there. And this one you can get from the Japanese market, or I actually found it through jet.com, but these cost me a bit more, like $140, $150 for these here, whereas the other ones were, you could get for under $100 if you looked around. According to Casio, you look at the website and the suggested retail price on these is $150. That's just what they say. And yet you can kind of tell, the laws of supply and demand, and the watch that you might think is less attractive. It's also, you can find it for a better bargain than some of the ones that you think are maybe more attractive. I think this one's a really classy looking watch. And it costs a little bit more. At this point, I decided I really like these watches and I wanted to use them more for like everyday wearing, what some people would call a beater watch, or a watch that you wear and you don't really care if it gets beat up a little bit. You just wear it all the time. If you're going to go out and do some hard labor in the yard, you don't care if the watch gets a little scuffed up. It's okay. Well, I thought, I really like this green one, but I don't want it to get damaged at all. Maybe I can find another one used, and it would be my beater watch. So I found this one on eBay, and it was used, and I got it home and cleaned it up, and it looks so good. You can hardly tell the difference between this used one and the one that started out new. I can tell the difference. There's one little setting I have that's different on this watch than that one, and that's how I can tell the difference. But otherwise, I really can't tell. So I bought a beater watch, and it turned out to be too nice to use as a beater watch. So that kind of backfired. Now I got two of these, and I'll wear them both. So then that opened my eyes to the idea you could use eBay to get used watches and kind of take your chances. And so I got this one for a very good bargain compared to buying it new, and it was in great shape. This one has just a few marks on the watch band, which I could replace if I wanted to, but otherwise this one's in great shape, and so I paid far less than what I would pay for new watches, and these seem to work perfectly fine. So this is kind of my default beater watch, but I'll still take it off if I think I'm really running the risk of beating up the watch. I won't wear this one, but it works. It works for the beater concept pretty well because, like I said, the watch band has a few marks on it. Otherwise, these are great. And so the bottom line with these is, in person, they actually do seem to me to look a lot better than they did in the illustrations. So if I had it to do over again, and if they weren't available used, I might go ahead and purchase these brand new, and I think I'd be perfectly satisfied with that. I just happened to get a good deal on used ones that were in great shape, and so I do have these, and I think they look okay. Oh, by the way, I should mention, several weeks ago I watched an episode of Hawaii Five-0, and they had this scene where a guy was rummaging through the personal effects of someone who had been killed in the show. And they poured out the items that were in this plastic bag, and one of them was the guy's watch, and wouldn't you know, it was one of these AWGM100 watches. Looked just like this one, the one featured in Hawaii Five-0. Blink and you miss it, but there it was. All right, so then finally I found this guy online. And this is part of the Fire package. That's a special thing that Casio does where they'll put out two different G-Shock watches. This is one of them, and the other is a slightly different style with kind of the same color scheme across both watches. And they released those over in Asia. And so this was the Fire package watch for the AWGM100 line for the year 2018. And I just couldn't find it around as I looked around, my normal sources I was looking for to find a good deal on this. I could have ordered it from Japan and paid quite a bit more for it, but finally, hey, it just came up on eBay, so I went ahead and ordered one, and I liked it so well that before that particular seller ran out of them, I got another one just because, I don't know, maybe I'll use one as a beater watch someday, but so that's kind of fun. They're actually, now it's 2019, and they're going to come out with one that's kind of this with more of a green color scheme, brand new one for 2019. So I'll have a look, keep an eye out for that one moving forward throughout the year. So that's how I've ended up with what is so far a collection of 10 Casio G-Shock AWGM100 watches. I've got 2 different pairs here, so it's really only 8 different styles, and I've just got duplicates on 2 of them, making for 10 watches. Generally speaking, still I prefer the regular LCD as opposed to the reverse LCD, but I do wear these watches on occasion anyway, and I enjoy that. But again, if you just want to take a quick glance and see what you want to see, the reverse LCD is a little bit more difficult to see what's in that display. Every one of these has the same style of black case and black watch band, and also the back of the watch is the same on each of these, except it does show a different model number if you look closely at the fine print. They have different model numbers designating the different color schemes. And like I said, the gold one has gold accents, but all the rest have these regular chrome silver looking accents. There are some other versions I don't have where maybe the case is made from a different color of resin. I've just avoided those, and some that just are more expensive and available exclusively in Japan, but maybe I'll get them someday. I just wanted to share with you and kind of show you some of these in a different context rather than just the official Casio product illustrations. So you could take a look at how they look this way in case you're saying, well, I might want to get one of those, but I'm not sure which color to get. So here's a chance for you to just see them and decide if you think one is more attractive than another. I wanted to mention one more detail about these watches. If you have the normal LCD display, then there's this glow-in-the-dark material on the tips of the hands, and also all around the dial, all the different number positions around the dial, there's this glow-in-the-dark material. If you've got the reverse LCD display, then the glow-in-the-dark material is only on the tips of the hands and not all around the dial, except for this blue one. This one does have that glow-in-the-dark material both on the hands and around the dial. So anyway, something to watch out for if that's one of the features that's important to you. All right, well, thanks for joining me on yet another edition of The Good Timekeeping Show, and I'll make it a point to make another episode as soon as I can.